All right, 20 real estate test questions to help you pass your exam on the first try. If you're new to the channel, my name's Darren. I'm a licensed mortgage and real estate broker in California, and my channel is dedicated to helping people just like you get their real estate license and have a good career in real estate. All right, now let's dive into the questions. Question number 1, which law prohibits steering? A, RESPA, R-E-S-P-A. B, Truth in Lending Act. C, the Fair Housing Act. D, the Sherman Antitrust Act. Correct answer here is C, the Fair Housing Act. So let's make sure we know what steering is first. Steering is just directing buyers towards or away from specific neighborhoods based on classes. And so what worked for me really well on the exam is I wrote down each of these things: RESPA, Truth in Lending Act, the Fair Housing Act, and the Sherman Antitrust Act. And I wrote down what those things related to. The Sherman Antitrust Act related to businesses, right? The Fair Housing Act related to discrimination. Have a general idea of what the purpose of each act is and how it affects consumers. Question number 2, which appraisal principle states that improvements should add value equal to or greater than their cost? A, conformity. B, contribution. C, anticipation. D, competition. Correct answer here is B, contribution. So the contribution principle measures an improvement's effect on the value of the property. And so when it comes to these different appraisal principles, make sure you understand what each one affects, and you should be getting easy points on the exam. Question number 3, which type of tenancy exists when 2 or more people own property with right of survivorship? A, tenancy in common. B, joint tenancy. C, severalty. D, tenancy by the entirety. Correct answer here is B, joint tenancy. That includes the right of survivorship. So this means that ownership transfers to the other co-owners upon death. Now, you will probably get questions about this when you start working in real estate, but most brokerages will tell you, hey, you're not a lawyer, don't tell people how to take title. You can just give them a link that shows what happens when they potentially die. I know, a little morbid, but that's the main point of how you hold title. Question number 4, the Truth in Lending Act is implemented through A, RESPA, R-E-S-P-A. B, Regulation Z. C, ECOA. D, FACTA. And the correct answer here is B, Regulation Z. So Regulation Z requires the disclosure of credit terms to consumers. So once again, when you're studying for the exam, write these things down and then write down, what their purpose is, the acronyms that go along with it, and how it affects consumers. These are easy points on the exam. You will see questions related to them. So just make sure you know those things. Question number 5, which lease type requires the tenant to pay base rent plus property expenses? A, gross lease. B, net lease. C, percentage lease. D, ground lease. Correct answer here is B, net lease. So in net leases, tenants aren't just paying their rent. They're also typically paying taxes, insurance, utilities, and maintenance. So this is much more common with commercial properties, much more rare with residential properties. But once again, make sure you know the different types of leases. You probably won't see a ton of questions on leases like this, but they should be easy points for you. Question number 6, a real estate agent who represents both buyer and seller in the same transaction is A, a sub-agent. B, a single agent. C, a dual agent. D, a designated agent. So the correct answer here is C, dual agent. And dual agency does require consent from both parties. And so I know, at least in California, you are allowed to be a dual agent. You just need to get the paperwork signed by both buyer and seller. Some states don't allow it. Question number 7, which of the following is an example of functional obsolescence? A, peeling exterior paint. B, a nearby landfill. C, a 5-bedroom house with only 1 bathroom. Oh, that sounds like a nightmare. D, outdated zoning restrictions. Correct answer here is C, a 5-bedroom house with only 1 bathroom. So functional obsolescence is typically some sort of design flaw, maybe has a bad layout, something like only 1 bathroom for 5 bedrooms, and that's going to typically reduce the property's value. Question number 8. The federal law that requires lenders to verify the borrower's ability to repay is A, RESPA, B, ECOA, C, the Dodd-Frank Act, and D, HMDA. Correct answer here is C, the Dodd-Frank Act. And so the Dodd-Frank Act actually introduced something called the Ability to Repay, ATR, rule for mortgage lending. And yeah, going back to this, when you study, just write these terms down, write down the purpose of them, write down how it affects consumers or protects consumers. And those are easy points. Question number 9. An option contract is A, binding on the buyer, but not the seller. B, binding on the seller, but not the buyer. C, binding on both parties. D, never binding. Correct answer here is B, binding on the seller, but not the buyer. So an option contract would be basically the seller would have to sell if the buyer exercises the option, but the buyer is not obligated to or forced to exercise the option. Now, when it comes to these types of contract questions, you are going to see some different scenarios. So make sure you understand not just the term or what the contract is, but make sure you understand how it affects each party. Question number 10. Which document is used to transfer personal property? A, deed. B, bill of sale. C, title insurance policy. D, a lease. So when it comes to personal property, it is related to a bill of sale. So correct answer is B, bill of sale. Okay, so we're halfway through our 20 questions, and I do get this question all the time, emails, comments. Darren, where do you get these questions from? And the answer is I use an online platform called Calibri, and I personally use them for all 3 of my licenses, my broker, loan officer, and real estate licenses to pass all 3 exams on my first try. So I do have a link down below if you want to get your own test prep. If you want to get your own exam simulations, go ahead, use that link down below. Full disclosure, as always, it is an affiliate link, so I do make a little bit off of every sale, and you are supporting me in the channel. So thank you if you decide to go through with that. If not, that's cool too. Let's get back to studying. Question number 11. The term marketable title means A, title guaranteed to be perfect. B, title without serious defects and readily transferable. C, title with no encumbrances. D, title approved by the county. Correct answer here is B, title without serious defects and readily transferable. So a marketable title just means that it is free from any major defects, liens, encumbrances. Question number 12. What does a quiet title action do? A, it closes escrow. B, it clears disputes over ownership. C, it transfers title to heirs. D, it removes liens from a property. Correct answer here is B, it clears disputes over ownership. So a quiet title action basically is a lawsuit to settle any type of ownership issues. In real estate, boot refers to A, additional personal property in a sale. B, cash or unlike property added to an exchange. C, the lender's commission. D, a prepaid tax. Correct answer here is B, cash or unlike property added to an exchange. So in a 1031 exchange, boot is a non-like kind property that's received and may be taxable. Okay, so we got a little math question here. Question number 14. A property sells for $350,000 with a 6% commission rate. The listing broker gets 60% of the commission. How much does the listing broker earn? A, $12,600. B, $21,000. C, $10,500. D, $7,560. So let's start with the commission calculation. The property sells for $350,000 at a 6% commission rate. So you take that $350,000, multiply it by 0.06. You're going to get $21,000. Now the broker takes 60% of that. So take 21,000 times 0.6 and you end up with $12,600. Question number 15. What type of legal description uses measurements and directions? A, lot and block. B, rectangular survey. C, meets and bounds. D, informal reference. Correct answer here is C, meets and bounds. So I did get a few questions related to these types of legal descriptions and measurements and directions. So make sure you do a little bit of studying regarding what lot and block is, the rectangular survey method, and the meets and bounds. Question number 16, what is the minimum down payment for an FHA loan in 2025 for a borrower with a 580 plus credit score? A, 3%, B, 3.5%, C, 5%, D, 10%. Correct answer here is B, 3.5% down. So FHA loans require 3.5% down for borrowers that have credit scores above 580. Now, between 500 and 580, they need to put 10% down. Also, if you want to learn about FHA loans, because they are a great tool for first-time buyers that don't have the best credit, I have this video that goes over FHA loans in detail. You can find that video in the comments down below. Question number 17, an appraiser using the sales comparison approach should make adjustments for A, differences between subject and comparables, B, depreciation cost, C, capitalization rates, D, loan terms. Correct answer here is A, differences between subject and comparables. So some adjustments for the sales comparison approach should definitely look at the adjustments between the subject property and comparable sales in terms of condition, size, different features like pool. And when studying these different approaches for home values, definitely know the differences between each. Question number 18, which law requires accessibility features in public accommodations? A, RESPA, B, ADA, C, ECOA, D, the HUD Act. Correct answer here is B, ADA. Americans with Disabilities Act requires accessibility for everyone in public spaces. So I said this before, I'm going to say it again because it's important. Write down all these acronyms, write down all these different acts, right? Like the Fair Housing Act, Anti-Sherman Trust Act, and learn why they were made and how they affect consumers. Easy points. A mortgage that includes both real and personal property is called A, package mortgage, B, a blanket mortgage, C, a wraparound mortgage, D, a reverse mortgage. Correct answer here is A, a package mortgage. Package mortgages basically finance the real estate plus personal property like appliances. I've never actually seen one of these used in real life. I have seen a reverse mortgage, a wraparound mortgage, blanket mortgages I've seen before too. I've never done one, but never actually seen a package mortgage. And speaking of mortgages, when you get your license, if you have clients that need help with their mortgage, depending on what state you're in, go ahead and email me, Darren@realdarrensci.com, and I'd love to see if I can help you and your client. All right, last question, question number 20. Which element is not required for a valid real estate contract? A, offer and acceptance. B, competent parties. C, an earnest money deposit. D, consideration. Correct answer here is C, an earnest money deposit. So earnest money deposits are customary and they're pretty normal, but it's not a required piece of the contract. It's only required if the buyer and seller agree to it in the contract. Offer and acceptance, competent parties, and consideration are all required. Okay, because I love you, I want to see you pass. I hope you get this bonus question on your exam. So question number 21, the process of increasing the value of property through rehabilitation or renovation is called A, assemblage, B, gentrification, C, appreciation, D, capital improvement. Correct answer here is D, capital improvements. And so capital improvements are just permanent upgrades that will increase the value of the property. All right, that's all we got today, folks. 21 real estate questions for you. Hopefully you see a bunch of these on your exam. Hopefully you pass your exam on the first try. As always, thanks for studying with me. If you have any questions about anything real estate or mortgage related, go ahead and email me, Darren@realdarrensci.com. And I'll see you on the next video.